When I was a kid, my dad had all these fantastic Led Zeppelin records, and when my brother and I took guitar lessons, of course, we wanted to play some of the songs from these records. And one week, we wanted to learn Black Dog. Now, before we learned a cool song like that, we always had to play a couple of selections from a book like the Levee Classic Guitar Method or Guitar for the Small Fry. Now, I will say that when I was a little kid, playing songs like On Top of Old Smoky was not really that exciting, but we suffered through it. And you know what? We actually learned how to read standard notation, which was pretty cool. But once we suffered through that, we were able to play a song like Black Dog. And now remember, I was just a wee lad, but there was a part of Black Dog that always just sounded wrong to me at the time. You know the part? It just doesn't quite seem to fit over the drum beat. The drums keep doing the same thing, but the riff is displaced over a different beat. Now, I didn't understand all that when I was a kid. I just thought it sounded wrong. Many years later, I was hired to play in a particular gig. And guess what is on the set list? It's Black Dog. Now, I was going to be paid to play this thing, so I figured I'd better study it and get it right. And the more I studied Led Zeppelin, the more I came to love Displacement. Now, I use it all the time in my solos. Here's another example of displacement. Let's say we're playing in 4/4 time like we usually are, right? So we've got 4 beats per measure. But if we take a figure that's only 3 notes and we repeat it over and over, it's going to get displaced against the rhythm because we're going to start the phrase with a downbeat, but the second time the phrase repeats, it'll start on an upbeat, just by fact that it's only 3 notes, right? It's like when I was in math as a little kid too, and I couldn't figure 3 into 4, who knows, whatever. I can do it on the guitar. So that's a pretty simple example, but you can hear how when I start the 3-note phrase, it starts on a downbeat, but the second time it's an upbeat, and then it's a downbeat again. It's going to keep reversing, right? If you practice these things, make sure you use a metronome or a drum track so you can hear how they land against the drums. We could play any 3 notes, just pick 3 notes of minor pentatonic and try it out. I'm going to put a few of these displacement ideas for free on my website, but to get the complete displacement workout, you can join our Patreon, and guess what? You can join for free for 7 days. The links to those are all below. Sometimes these can sound a little mathematical, but the way to make it work is to turn it into a lick. So you do the phrase, and then you turn it into something. Maybe you continue descending through the scale, maybe you do a bend, or maybe you connect it with another lick that you know. So going back to my wonderful math skills when I was a kid, let's do 5 into 4. Those don't work together, do they? They do in music. Let's try a 7-note figure. Now, with pentatonic, we've only got 5 notes. So in this case, maybe we want to use a full 7-note scale, like a Dorian scale. That would sound like this. Keep in mind, the notes don't have to be scale-wise. We could take any 7-note pattern, or any 5-note pattern, or any 3-note pattern for that matter. Let's do a 5-note pattern, A minor pentatonic, and I'll just mix up the notes a little. But I'll play the same thing twice, and it'll get displaced over the 4 beats of the drums. That sounds really quirky, that one. I really like it. And let me know in the comments, do you have some other great examples of displacement? I'd like to make a list of some of the most famous ones, so put that in the comment for me. And I really like to use displacement when I'm lower down in a pentatonic shape, like let's say we use shape number 3. This is what George calls the triple stack. That's this one. I did that last one twice, but the first one was groups of 3 starting on the downbeat and then finishing with a lick. And the second one was groups of 3 starting on the upbeat and finishing with a similar lick. Sometimes you gotta play a different lick at the end depending on where you start to make it feel like it works out. And in this one, we're gonna do a long 8-measure line that combines 3s, then 5s, then 7s with little licks in the middle. And the more you listen to and play Led Zeppelin songs, you're gonna find lots of displacement. You can find it in songs like Kashmir. The main riff is displaced against the drums. Houses of the Holy, Dazed and Confused, When the Levee Breaks. It's pretty clear that these guys really liked using displacement in their songs. Another important concept related to displacement is anticipation. And I'm gonna put a video on the screen here for you that will teach you all about that. My name is Blue Morris, and I teach guitar lessons here in Vancouver, Canada. I'll see you in the next one.